Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce Next Generation Leaders webinar here today. Hopefully we'll be back in person soon enough with some great programs, but we thought it'd be great to start the new year with a webinar. Ivan hosted one of our webinars in December, I think it was, and it was an amazing presentation. We both thought what would be a great opportunity for young people in business. And, I have no clue how to use LinkedIn. I know I was just mentioning I click accept and then I just leave it right there and I don't do anything else after that. So it'll be great to learn some LinkedIn tips from Ivan and Peggy from Merrimack Digital. I want to thank them for hosting us today. I also want to thank our Next Generation Leaders series sponsor, TD Bank, and Parker is here. Parker Williams from TD Bank's here. I'm just going to ask him to say a few words to start the program. So welcome, Parker.
Thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate the intro. TD Bank is so happy to be able to continue to sponsor this event. We think it's a really important investment, and the Chamber does a great job putting on some really great programs. This being one of them. I'm with you, Mike. I'm also very excited for this one. I definitely am not leveraging LinkedIn to the best of my abilities. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about better ways I can do that. So we really appreciate it. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you again, Parker. We appreciate TD Bank's sponsorship of the whole Next Generation Leaders series. We appreciate that continuous support. So thank you again. And now I'm going to turn over to our hosts, Ivan and Peggy with Merrimack Digital. Merrimack Digital is an amazing company right here in the Merrimack Valley. Ivan's a veteran himself. And I just want to mention before I turn it over to him that one of our members is actually using his service right now for our website, and they're amazed at the great response from Ivan and his team. So thank you for that. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our hosts today, Ivan and Peggy. Thank you.
Well, hey, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. Good morning. As Michael mentioned, I run here Merrimack Digital with Peggy as my leader on the target marketing side. I've been in the digital ad space since 2005 in some way or another. I started back at Yahoo in 2005 when there was a lot more people using Yahoo, but now obviously as time has evolved, they're still there, but it was a great experience, and it's kind of led me all the way to where I'm at today. And I'm going to let Peggy introduce herself real quick, and then we'll kind of get the ball rolling.
Hi, everybody. Peggy Olson, and I am the director. I oversee the paid division, so everything with like Google paid ads, social marketing, those retargeting ads that follow you all over the web that we get annoyed about. That is me to a point. So, but the biggest thing I love doing is education. I've been in the digital space for over 20 years. I've seen it all, done it all, been through it all. So, but the one thing I do love is educating businesses of all sizes of how to do this stuff right? The things that you should spend your time on, the money on, your attention on. It is important for us, Ivan and I, to give you that value of information always as your consultant as well, right? And so that's really important for us to funnel over the best of information so you can take it away as far as like what you need to do best for either your personal career or for something for your business. So that's who I am.
Awesome. So thank you, Peggy. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and we will get to go. And everyone can see this okay, correct? And I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Let me see if I can move this little bar out of my way here. There we go. Now, Brandon. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about, obviously, LinkedIn is the main topic here. Why LinkedIn? Can everyone see this okay? By LinkedIn, the agenda? Okay, great. Why LinkedIn? How we leverage LinkedIn as a sales team. I'm a sales guy first and foremost. I've been in sales 20 plus years. So I would probably say I live and die by LinkedIn. I use it daily. I'm in there constantly reaching out to people, connecting with people, having conversations. Whether they're a good lead or a bad lead, I have conversations as many as possible, and LinkedIn does facilitate that for me. Also, we're going to talk about setting up your personal LinkedIn page, some of the value in regards to making sure that your LinkedIn page is set up properly. And Peggy is going to do a walkthrough, actually a live walkthrough on that and some of the best practices that you guys can all take away and hopefully start to implement, some ideas from today's presentation. Some of the things for sales and how I use it is obviously researching prospects, making connections, strategies to make sure that I'm more visible on there, the power of LinkedIn groups in terms of some of the things that people may or may not know. some of the insights of how, when you're a member of a group, I'll share about that. And then also SlideShare. There's a plethora, depending on the level of LinkedIn access, whether you have the free version, whether you have one of their paid versions. There's a lot of free content that comes depending on the level of subscription that you have, that you can access through LinkedIn to not only increase your knowledge about specific business topics, but also increase the visibility of your profile, because as you complete some of those courses that they have, you can actually put those courses onto your LinkedIn profile. That gives a little bit more credibility. So along the way, if you have any questions, just go ahead and shoot the questions over into the chat. I'm sure Mike will be able to moderate that, so he can kind of take a look at those, and we'll leave some time at the end to kind of address some of those Q&As. And then with that, we'll just jump right into it. So first and foremost, the 5 reasons for leveraging LinkedIn, right? So there's probably more, but the main 5 reasons that I use it is, 1, lead generation. If you're a business owner and you provide a service, you have some way that you do some B2B type of business, it's a great tool for lead generation. But also on the other end of the spectrum as well, it's a great lead generation tool for that individual that's looking to move up in their career, make a change in their career. And I'll give you some live examples of how I've done that just recently with friends that are looking for jobs, or, people that reach out to me asking if I know anyone that's looking to, they can fill a role of some sort. So it's great for either one, B2B or career. Increase exposure. If your business, again, is a B2B type of business, or even B2C, it doesn't really matter, and you want to increase the exposure of your business, LinkedIn is a great tool for that. And you'll see here some numbers in regards to how much visibility or opportunity there is in terms of people that are using LinkedIn just in the US alone, not to mention globally. Also, a high level of credibility. Nowadays, while we still apply to jobs with the resume, you still have to go to a job and apply through their applicant tracking system when you see a job online. A lot of the times, that could be the secondary thing that you're doing when you're applying to a job. And the first thing you could do is reach out and try to do some research and find that hiring manager that may be looking to fill that position, or a recruiter at that company. And I've done that many times. I'll give you some examples of how that works as well. Also, to show off your accomplishments. I mean, obviously, we know at this point in the game, LinkedIn is one of those platforms where it is your online resume to a certain degree, right? Some people fill it out way more completely than others. Some people a little bit less, but they kind of track, and people can kind of see the trajectory of someone's career. But also, it's just a good place to kind of just consider your online resume. And a lot of times, if you're applying for a job, if you're reaching out to a prospect and they're trying to do business with you, and you've reached out to them cold, they're going to go on there and see who you are. They want to see that this person's real. They're going to do a little research on your company before they make a decision to maybe take that conversation to the next step, where it's a live conversation. And also, to Michael's point, when he mentioned earlier, it's about the quality of the business connections that you're making. Michael says that he accepts people's connection requests, which is probably a good idea because he's running a chamber of commerce, and he wants to meet as many people as he can that could potentially become a member. I'm a sales guy, so I typically accept, I'd say, 80% of the people that reach out to me. The other 20%, I really got to understand, who they are. If it's there's a lot of companies, because I lead the sales team here at Merrimack Digital. There's a lot of companies that are trying to sell me lead generation. So the first thing I think to myself, it's like, they obviously are reaching out to me cold. They don't realize that I run a sales team. I already do lead generation for myself. I probably don't need another lead generation, partner. So maybe I may or may not, accept their connection request. But really, it's about the quality of that network that you're building, and also how you can leverage that network. So a little bit about LinkedIn. I don't know how many of you all know this, but back in 2016, which seems like a lifetime ago, LinkedIn was actually purchased by Microsoft. So LinkedIn is actually a property of Microsoft. So, and what that means is that if you look at these numbers here on the left-hand side, you're looking and seeing the number of users that Microsoft has in different varieties, whether it's Office users, Windows, Office 365, which they do now, 365 Online. All those Dynamics is their CRM. Azure Active is their Active Directory, which is for their cloud services. But when you marry all that with the members on LinkedIn, now they have another group of members that are cross-referenced, and they're doing this because that purchase allows them to pretty much integrate a professional network with their actual enterprise level, software, to be able to integrate those things. So you have 774 million members worldwide on LinkedIn. I mean, that's a ton. In the United States alone, there's 202 million North American members on LinkedIn. So again, if you're looking to build a network, if you're looking to, expand your career or get that next opportunity, there's no better place than to go into LinkedIn to start to kind of research. And one of the things that I tell people when especially they're looking at the 15 million active job listings on LinkedIn, and that's right now, I mean, we're all hearing all the things that are going on with the economy today. I think whatever 4 million people have quit because of this great resignation, they're calling it. But that's opportunity. I mean, right now, I have a friend of mine, really good friend. We used to sit across from each other at Yahoo years ago, and he works at Indeed. And he's, I talked to him within the last couple of weeks, and he's like, Ivan, people just can't find employees, man. It's like everyone's struggling to find employees. It's so difficult because there's so much opportunity that if there was ever a job seeker market, this would probably be the job seeker market you want to look at. So if you're thinking about making a move professionally, if you're thinking about, helping someone, this is the time to do it. There's 9 million company profiles on LinkedIn, and there's over 2 million paid subscriptions. So let me tell you a little bit about the subscriptions. So obviously most of us have LinkedIn, the free version. The free version allows us to get in there, build a profile. We can see a certain level of who's seeing our profile when they kind of look at us. If you look at someone's profile, they can probably see depending on the level of that. But there's another level of subscription that the paid one starts with either a premium or a sales navigator, right? So those are two different, profiles. And the sales navigator is actually a separate platform than the LinkedIn, from a free version. And it kind of allows you to do a little bit more deeper analysis and research and kind of reach out to more people on a monthly basis. And within Peggy will kind of show you the differences when she does her walkthrough here towards the end of this presentation. Let's talk about, in terms of those 202 million users and global users, 44% of the users are female, whereas 56% are male. And if you look at the breakdown here, I'm going to move this thing out of the way here. Excuse me. Let me just go back. I got to get this out of the way here. There we go. So if you look at the breakdown, obviously you have a good little breakdown of people that are using it, but that sweet spot is always at 18 to 34 user base, and even like, the 35-year-olds as well. That's where people are starting to really kind of make those moves in their careers, right? And an example that I kind of give you earlier is if you look at the conversion for lead generation, and I'll give you this example first, is that there's obviously other platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, all those are good for B2C type of marketing. But if you're looking for like a B2B play, where you're looking to do some business with other businesses, LinkedIn's probably where it's at, right? You got 80% of leads that come from B2B are generally, sourced from a LinkedIn, either outreach campaign, whether it's a paid campaign, whether it's, people are really doing research and outbound, reaching out to people individually. And in terms of a sales team, let me take me as an example. So over the last week, I've had probably 4 or 5 conversations from people that I've reached out cold. I don't know them. I've done research in terms of who I'm looking to go after in terms of what we call an ICP, or an ideal customer persona, a certain title, a certain type of industry, company. And then I develop some way to reach out to them. And from a sales perspective versus, let's say, a career perspective, there's really 2 ways to kind of go about it. On a sales perspective, obviously people are limited with time. So when I reach out to people from B2B sales, I'm very direct, professional. I let people know up front as I try to connect with them why I'm looking to connect with them. I don't try to be sneaky and just try to connect with them and not say anything. And then, one of the best practices is don't ever send a connection request today to get accepted, and then an hour later try to get a meeting with the person, right? If you're going to do that, it's better to just be direct on the initial connection request, just because that way people can make the decision whether they want to accept your connection request because they know you're about to ask them for a meeting, versus the other way. It's kind of like the bait and switch. The same thing applies for looking for a job. Let's take someone that's looking for a career opportunity. If I see a job opportunity that's posted on LinkedIn, and I'm a sales guy, if I was looking for another sales role, if you apply just on the job, well, obviously you apply, It goes into an applicant tracking system, which is the company's way to collect resumes. That technology generally looks at the resume, via technology, and it'll determine whether they pass. A lot of times they'll determine whether they pass it off to the recruiter. Then the recruiter looks at it, accepts and whatnot. Whereas if you know the job is there and you're looking to apply to that job, I tell people before you just click apply, you're going to have to do that eventually, is look at the job opportunity. A lot of times it'll tell you who's posting the job. Try to reach out to that recruiter or the hiring manager that's posting it first and let them know that you're interested in the opportunity, see if it's still open. A lot of times they'll respond. And if it is, you can have that conversation and try to kind of, instead of just sending a blind resume, you can start a conversation that way. And that works a lot. I mean, a lot of times, especially if you're a salesperson, I mean, a hiring manager in a sales environment is going to be very, probably a lot more open to having a conversation than someone that's proactive, aggressive, because that's what they're going to need if they hire them as a salesperson. If you're looking for marketing positions, the same thing. You can look out, if it's the recruiter, try to find the director of marketing or try to find the VP of marketing and see if they can at least make an introduction to the hiring manager or the recruiter to bypass the initial online application. Always works. It can always work in your benefit. Secondly, once you start to connect with people on LinkedIn, I just had an example recently. A friend of mine, she's been at a company, at SAP, huge company, over 10 years. She's looking to make a move. She asked if I knew anybody. I reached out to my network. I saw an opportunity that might be a good fit. I just reached out to someone at the company that I knew. I asked him if I can pass a resume along to him, if he can put it in front of the hiring manager. He said, no problem. And, within a day, she had an interview with the recruiter and she had that conversation. So it's really about leveraging your network, but also trying to find a way to have those conversations when you're researching either a prospect or a hiring manager and whatnot. One of the things about LinkedIn groups that I don't know if a lot of people know or not, but on LinkedIn, no matter if it's especially in the free version, you can only send a message directly to somebody that you're connected to. There are some people that are open networkers that allow to get messages from anybody, but for the most part, if you're not connected on a first degree basis with someone, you can't really send a message until you're connected. However, if you join a group on LinkedIn and you and I are in the same group, you can go into the group account where that group, all the group members and all the announcements are at. You can find me in the group, and then there's a way for people in groups to message one another for free. You don't have to be connected to them, so you can start a conversation that way as well with people. And I've used that a lot of the times when I try to get in touch with someone if I can't connect with them on a first degree. And I literally just look at someone's profile. What groups are they in? I go join one of those groups. I go find that person, and then I send them a message. Following companies, another great tool to leverage it as you start to get into your career. Whether it's sales, whether it's looking for a job opportunity, or you're looking to prospect for a business. Once you follow a company, your news feed, similar to Instagram, similar to Facebook, similar to, I'm sure, TikTok or whatever other social media platforms on there, when you're starting to follow people, your news feed starts to get filled with the things that those companies are posting, whether it's new news about their company, whether it's job opportunities that they're posting about their company, which gives you that opportunity to get educated before you start to reach out to people. So an example on the career side could be someone reaching out to Peggy. Hey, Peggy, I've been following, your company for a while. I noticed you guys are posting, job opportunities. I wanted to see if I can have a conversation with you about this one that you posted on such and such date. The same thing on a B2B side. If you're doing sales, it's always good to reach out to people that you're trying to do business with, knowing a little bit about their company. And if I'm following a company that I'm trying to get into, I can leverage that information by reaching out to Peggy. And another example would be, hey, Peggy, I saw this article that your company posted about these new initiatives that you guys are going to pursue in 2022. I wanted to see if I can talk to you about this one because it might be a fit between what my company does and what you guys are looking to pursue. So it's all that information that you're getting before you reach out to people cold. Promote. Obviously, you want to promote. You can see other people promoting the job postings. I see it all the time. We all see it as well. But you can promote other things. Events, if your company has some events coming up, maintaining your company's LinkedIn profile is always important to make sure that you have that going. And being able to cross-post whatever you post on Facebook and other things onto the LinkedIn network. It's just another avenue to get some additional visibility. Recommendations. A lot of you that are just starting your career, it's always good to, I generally tell people it's best to ask for someone to give you a recommendation after you leave a job. That way you at least, they're giving you a recommendation is, it's a legit recommendation. A lot of the times in my earlier days, we'd be working at companies and all of our friends in the company are just recommending one another. Obviously you can tell the difference because everyone's working at the same time, but especially a boss, if you're, you did a good job at one company, you moved on to another company, or you're moving on to do something different, asking a former boss to give you a recommendation, that gives you a lot of validity in terms of credibility as you're looking for new jobs as well. This 80-20 rule is something that if you look at, and there's a stat, I don't have it on this presentation, but I was talking to someone recently, and there's a stat that kind of blew my mind. So you look at 774 million users across the globe that are on LinkedIn, 220 million in the United States, and less than 1% of people that are on LinkedIn actually post on LinkedIn. And why that's important is if you think about it, if less than 1% of the people are actually posting, those people are the ones that are just becoming very, very familiar and relevant on that platform. So it's important, if you have some knowledge, if you're interested in certain things, if you read a white paper or you read a case study or something in the industry that you're in, post it, give your thoughts, give your 2 cents. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a good, sense of what you're doing. Post that in there and let people know that you're there to provide knowledge as well, and not just take stuff from people, because what you start to do is you start to build your credibility online. There are some people that I follow on LinkedIn myself that have literally built a business with their own LinkedIn profile where they've left their careers and they make a living by creating content on LinkedIn that helps other people. And, and we live in this world now that, I tell my daughter all the time, hey man, you have these tools that you can really make whatever career you want these days because of the ability to use all these platforms to really get your message out of the things that matter to you. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So here's another tip that I tell people, especially salespeople or people that are looking to do business to business, and even career-wise. When you join LinkedIn, there's an opportunity to sync your contacts that are on whatever email platform you're using. Once you sync those contacts with LinkedIn, it automatically goes and finds them on LinkedIn, where you can start to reach out to them and start to connect with them on LinkedIn. It's a really quick and easy way to start to build your network on LinkedIn, because these are going to be people usually that you already know. So you start to build that connection number, and then you start to kind of tap into the people that they know, and you can kind of start to leverage that already built network that you've established over time. Let me take a look at this questions here. Get my mouse here. There we go. What do we got here? Okay, perfect. Let me move this out of the way. I can't see my mouse. 1 second here. Get Russell. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. So, yep. So here's an example. Once you kind of load up you sync up, you start to see everybody. You can check the boxes and try to add those as connections, and then they'll get a message immediately that you're trying to connect with them. A super easy way to start to kind of build that network. And I had an example about 2 years ago. Something happened where my LinkedIn account was taken down abruptly, and I was literally one of those moments like, wait, I can't have my LinkedIn account down. So I had to make sure that I reached out what happened, and they got it back up. But like I said, as a salesperson, I live and die by the network that I have built over time to be able to reach out to people and start to have those conversations. Some group examples of you that you can join. Obviously, alumni group from the schools that you all went to, any type of corporate group of a company that you work at today or companies that you've worked at in the past, any conferences that you've been to. A lot of times they build those, groups for those conferences that you can join. And some people join them and they leave after the conference is over, but a lot of times they stay active. A networking group, there's a ton of groups. I mean, there's millions of different types of groups on LinkedIn when you do searches of any potential interest that you have. If your business is in staffing, you can join staffing groups. If your business is in, software as a service, you can join those. If you're a restaurant owner, there's probably restaurant owner groups. There's all kinds of groups out there that you can get in there and engage with similar people that are in the same industries. All kinds of professional groups. I know there's definitely a ton of like young professional groups that you can join as well to start to network with other people that are in similar situations, that are just kind of starting with their career, maybe a couple, 2-3 years into it. They're trying to figure out if this is the first job that they've got out of college. Is this something that I want to do long term? You can have those conversations with like-minded people to really kind of start to build that network. And it also helps you start to get used to or comfortable with reaching out to people that you don't know. And cold outreach is a very good skill to develop, because just in career and life, I mean, being able to try to start up a conversation with someone you've never met before is invaluable, because you can start to kind of figure out what you're comfortable, how to do it. You get better over time. It gets easier to accept no's, right? A lot of times people don't want to reach out to people because they're afraid that someone's going to say no. Me personally, a no's awesome, because it just saves you time from having to pursue something that you know is not going to be there, and move on to the next prospect, whether again career or whether it's trying to get business. So you can search, like this is just an example of how you can search. You can search by a variety of ways: companies, groups, people, jobs, different kinds of content. It really just kind of gives you a lot of opportunity to kind of leverage this platform to start to figure out if it is business you're looking for or if it's career, again, as I mentioned. Here's some results. Here's some examples of what a company page will look like, how you can follow them. It tells you how many employees are on LinkedIn from that company. So really invaluable. You can, once you get the results, I can go in there and start to connect with people. I generally tell folks, when you start to connect with people, try to have a plan. Have a plan of what you're trying to accomplish. And if you can do that first, if you're looking for a new job, try to identify 1 or 2 industries that you're really interested in, something that's going to make you, happy to get up to go to work. Once you decide those industries, then try to figure out, okay, well, who are the people that I need to meet in those industries to start to get knowledge of them, and especially if you're kind of going from one industry to another. One of the things that really works, and you'll find this really, it happens all the time, and I've done it for 20 plus years, as long as I've been using LinkedIn, is that if you're trying to learn something about a new industry, it's so easy to connect with this guy, Nick. Man, if I wanted to reach out to him, say, hey, Nick, I see that you're in sports marketing. You're over Galaxy Communications. I studied something similar. I've been thinking about getting in that industry. Would you be open to having a Zoom coffee so I can just pick your brain, just to understand, what you like of the industry, what you may not like, some tips that I may, be able to use as I pursue a career in that. A lot of times people are like, yeah, sure, I'm open to that. They'll connect. They'll give you 15, 20 minutes of their time to kind of help. A lot of people are helpful if you ask, and you can do that just across anything. And the B2B side is a little bit different, because everyone, I get reached out to daily, and people are trying to connect with me. I may connect with them, and then immediately within an hour, they send me another message. Hey, can I just set up a meeting to try to sell you this? Those situations, I kind of, they're case by case, but you want to try to be a little bit more strategic. What I would recommend is connecting with someone. Once you connect with them, see if they're posting regularly. If they're posting regularly, engage with their content. If you see something that they posted and you like their thoughts, hey, Nick, I noticed that you posted this article. I found this interesting. What did you think about that? And then you start that dialogue. Then maybe the third message or fourth message out, you can say, hey, Nick, you know what? I'd like to talk to you about this opportunity. Maybe you kind of start to build that rapport and be a little bit more, play the longer game versus the immediate gratification game, especially from a B2B side. But, career-wise, definitely things that you can do. Joining a LinkedIn group, as I mentioned already, ton of groups. I'm a member of groups. I talk to people from groups all the time. Like my newsfeed is always updated with that information, so I'm able to stay top of mind, or at least knowledgeable about what's going on in those groups. And again, the 80-20 rule, like some of the things that you want to do when you're posting, and this is and it does take a little bit of work, but if you can spend, I'd say, an hour or 2 hours a week out of your day, spread out over 20, 30 minute, increments, liking content that you find engaging and commenting on things, giving back to the community. And don't worry about whether your comment is right, it's going to please everybody. Just be authentic and be, engaging with that content is going to go a long way. Post any new stuff about your company, about yourself in terms of like, I see a lot of people always posting great posts that are, they've been working at a company for 6-7 years. They're moving on to the next opportunity, announce it. They have a lot of good things to say about the previous company that they're leaving. And you get a lot of engagement from people that are kind of giving you congratulations, and you start to kind of see who's kind of looking at your profile, whose news feed you're coming up on, and then you can kind of start to reach out. One of the things that I suggest you all do, and this has really been probably one of the things that I've done that's been really helpful, is when I connect with people and I start to have conversations with people. There's been posts that I've done where maybe I've connected with 10 people over the last 2 weeks. I've had conversations with 4 or 5 of them, and maybe there's an opportunity, maybe there's not, but I've learned more about their business and we've kind of had some good rapport. I go back and do a post sometimes where it's like, hey, I just wanted to, let everyone know I've met with, so-and-so, 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 and I do a really quick little recap of who I talked to, what their company does, what I loved about the conversations, and I do that. And when I do that, and I tag those people that I've talked to, then a lot of the times those posts for me get some of the most engagement, because I'm really not trying to get anything out of it. I just had a good conversation with someone. This is what their company does. If you guys are looking for someone that does that, reach out to so-and-so. It's kind of a giving thing. And some of those posts have gotten I've gotten some posts where it's gotten like almost 10,000 views and, hundreds of likes. People are just kind of really, appreciative of that. And it also, by tagging them, I hit their network as well. Whoever's following them, they get to see it. So definitely, trying to have that giving mindset definitely helps out. Original content. There's ways that you can, actually write articles and post articles. And for those of you that are in an environment where you write a lot or push out content, it's a great way to kind of start to build out your credibility on a professional network as well, to be able to get people to engage with your content. And I highly encourage, when someone likes it, reach out, say thanks for liking my content. I was, whatever. If someone comments on it, engage with that comment. Get into a back and forth conversation. You never know where that's going to lead, and whatnot. So I'm going to take a pause real quick. I know we kind of covered a lot, and I wanted to make sure that I give Peggy some time to do a quick, live walkthrough of what a good, LinkedIn profile looks like. Some of the things that I've been touching upon here. There are some slides here towards the end that I'm not going to go through the slides. Peggy's just going to do a live, but I'll make sure I send this presentation out to you all through Michael, so you guys have it handy. And with that said, Peggy, I'm going to take it to you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Good stuff, Ivan. Thank you. Let me just share my.
And I'm going to stop sharing mine, and then you got yours.
All right, everyone can see my screen? Little checklist? Awesome, okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna show you guys kind of a walkthrough. Here's the thing with profiles. What you put into is what you get out of it, right? And I think LinkedIn is underutilized in the sense that we kind of like set it and forget it. So we set up our profiles, and you might have pictures from like 10 plus years ago, which if you look the same, awesome. But it's really like you are the brand. You are the brand. So no matter what company you work for and where you are in your life as far as your career, believe it or not, LinkedIn is one of the first places people will go to do their own little digging about who you are as an individual. Okay, so you got to really kind of put yourself out there. We'll send you this checklist as well, but I have like a couple of things that you might want to kind of take in consideration. One being, you got to have a great profile picture. So there are some hilarious like profiles out there that I've seen. I'm like, that is not your real picture today, right? It's like from forever ago, like maybe high school, like not cutting it. Get something fun and professional out there. Make sure you have an updated summary of your experience. get your education out there, volunteer. People totally underutilize that. I'm sure many of you, especially with the chamber, do some sort of volunteering within the community. Bragging rights, that is a big thing. Add your accomplishments. So many people forget to do that. You can also, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a dedicated URL with your profile page. And like Ivan said, you need to stay top of mind for your company or for yourself or both, right? And so if you just put a little time and effort, schedule it in your calendar, it's easy to post things that are happening within your organization or things that you want to educate, because I'm a digital marketer, so I'm going to share digital marketing tips, tricks, and all that other stuff of value. And essentially that comes back to me being the educating factor of like, I know my stuff, right? And so I'm putting Peggy Olson out there as a digital marketer and kind of sharing my wealth of knowledge. And of course, what happens there is a lot of people start kind of researching who I am as an individual and where I work. So I'm going to pop over to my news feed. Just there. All right. You guys can see my profile page. Okay, great. So popping into my personal profile. So I like to think this was taken 3 years ago. So I think it's kind of relevant. I might have to update it eventually. But you want a beautiful picture of yourselves, okay? So if you don't have one, there's lots of ways to get it. And your phones today take great pictures. Here's the other thing that gets underutilized. You could do a background photo. So you could do something of your company brand, or you could do something, that's local to your community. You can even utilize this. I call this like, promote like a good real estate as far as like putting out information about your business or who you are. So you can really do anything here as far as a background, but I never see people put backgrounds out there. Do that for yourself. The other thing that I don't know if you guys know how to do this, but you see my URL up on top. So I have LinkedIn, just like kind of Facebook. I'm going to reference Facebook a little bit here, but you can tag and you can create your own personal URL for LinkedIn. So that URL can be used in many facets, right? You can have it in your business card, your signature of your emails, but it's all done right here. Edit public profile and URL. So when you click on that, okay, you can easily, up in the right-hand corner, there's a little pencil, and then you can, anytime you can change this. So I have Peggy Olson, a digital trainer, because I do a lot of training, but you can certainly create that dedicated URL for yourself. So just remember to do that, because I think it's super important, and it keeps it very, very simple for people to find you. It's just like a Facebook business page, okay? The other thing that I want to show you guys is up above. Let me just get back here. Okay, scroll down. So your experience obviously needs to be up to date. You want the most recent job experiences. You don't have to go crazy and go back like, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, but make sure your experience really follows the path of career of what you're doing today. So me being a digital marketer, a lot of my experience is everything digital. And so having the most recent or most relevant job experience is what I recommend for your profile. Education, and everything that you go to, you guys, has like a little pencil that you can edit. Education, and it doesn't even have to be just education. There's lots of certifications people do that also get missed. So if you get certified in anything in your industry, make sure you add it. And there are certifications, and I'll show you how to add it, of what we can add to the education section of LinkedIn. Volunteer experience, that's a big one as well. And then of course, being a part of any kind of volunteer or being an advisor, anything like that, I think is a great thing. Groups, I've mentioned groups before. So this is a group I follow. There's lots for digital marketing. There's like a lot to follow. So, but I want to follow the, obviously the groups that I feel is most value to me. And that's the same for you guys. And here's the one thing that Ivan mentioned that also gets super underutilized. It's the recommendations area, okay? So with recommendations, if you have, like, if you're working for a company and you have a client that you did, an amazing project for, ask for recommendations. You do the work, right? So you want praise. And this is something that people do look at. So they like to see activity as far as people reviewing you as a person, as an individual, doing really great work, okay? And they're not going to come to your LinkedIn page and do that for you, ever. You got to ask for that. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. All right, moving on up. Let's go back. Okay, so right here, you guys, I'm back to my profile. Under more, okay, or actually, sorry, add profile section. This is where, obviously, you can add different sections to your profile. So you can add, licenses, certification, maybe courses. I'm actually taking a Google Analytics updated course right now. I'd like to put that in my recommendations of courses I've completed, recommendations. So all of that is right here. There's a ton of stuff. And so LinkedIn has done a really good job with making it super simple to add skills, add a position, add education. So make sure it's all under add profile section where you can add education, a position, skills, and then just click on that recommendation or recommended. Here's additional courses and things like that I think people miss a lot. LinkedIn profiles should not be set it and forget it, right? So you definitely want to make sure that it is the most up to date, starting with URL, making sure all your sections are up to date, and give yourself some bragging rights, you guys, okay? Get yourself out there. I'm going to scroll down now to about. So the about section is about you. Make sure that you guys have a solid about us section and a title of where you are today. So if I'm, for example, director of, marketing, I might not just say director of marketing for my title today. I might throw it out there as like director of target marketing, and then in education training and stuff like that. So you can expand your title, not just be the title of your job, but the title of really what you do with your organization. This is your profile. You can do whatever you want with it.
Can I make a quick chime in real quick, Peg?
Yep.
So another thing on the about, and also think of the profile as Peggy's going through this, and think of LinkedIn, the platform, as its own search engine type platform internally. Yep. So when you're filling out this content and you're looking and you're thinking about, like, how do I want my profile to come up? So think about how someone would be searching. So if you're looking for a job and you're looking for a job as an engineer or as a marketer or whatever industry, just think about the keywords that are in those job descriptions that you're looking for, and put those into the about. So for example, I'm a director of engineering certification in, whatever certification keywords and platforms and whatnot, because when recruiters are looking for candidates and they're searching, they're going into that search field and they're doing those searches in either a Boolean type search or any kind of search. So the profiles that are coming up are going to be those profiles that have those keywords spread out throughout their profile. That's another way to give that visibility to your profile, as Peggy has mentioned. And it's very important, especially if you're looking for a career and you're trying to move careers or whatever. What I tell people, if you're looking to move jobs and you're looking at job opportunities that you're pursuing, look at those job descriptions, identify keywords in those job descriptions, and go try to see and put those into your profile some way that's true and honest, that would match that. So when those recruiters are looking for those candidates, your profile has a higher likelihood of coming up in those searches.
Exactly. And that's the headline right here, you guys. Like VP of marketing, I just changed this before, to show you, but because that's boring. There's lots of VP of marketing out there. So I would expand on that, VP of digital marketing, focused on such and such, the target marketing side of what I do, to expand, because it is true. LinkedIn is a total search engine and it's a marketplace. This is where people go to find services and product and businesses they want to work with, or individuals they want to work with based off of what their needs are for their business, for their corporation, business, company, whatever that might be. Makes sense, right? I know we're running just a little out of time, so I want to be respectful of our time today. And I'm now going to kind of go down to skills, another area that a lot of people kind of underutilize. So make sure you get your skills out there. And here's the best thing with LinkedIn. They kind of already know your skills, and so you can keep adding to it, but I do a lot of team building. I'm always like fundraising. So I've already kind of added every skill I know I have within my career and with my experience. So make sure that you can like click the pencil, right? And then look at industry knowledge, other interpersonal skills, things like that. But this is how another way of people finding you based off of what your skill set is. So this is a big search piece too. And if you haven't done any updates to like what your skill set is, all you got to do is click that little plus sign under skills. Recommendations, this is easy. All you need to do is ask. So ask for a recommendation, simple. You click on it. Now again, it's all through LinkedIn. So if I search on Ivan, here he is, he's my first connection. And then I can continue. And relationship, how do I know Ivan? Well, I work with him, right? And then please select position. And then I would love Ivan to send me a recommendation. So now I sent it to Ivan. He's going to get my request for recommendation. He's going to write back to me, and it does not get posted under recommendations until I approve it. So I could even go back to him and say, actually, can you make me sound better, Ivan? And of course he'll do that. So, or can you expand on all the great help I gave you? Of course he will. So, but recommendations is a big thing. So please just don't be afraid. Don't to ask for that. And then of course it will give, I've received, and then it will also showcase people that I have given recommendations to. Okay.
And Peggy's going to send me $10 in Venmo for that recommendation.
Yep, I'm going to have to pay him for that recommendation, but it better be a good one, right? And then interests and things like that, causes. I mean, that's like I said, anything with charity, all that stuff is really good to share. So your profile is your brand. You are the brand, essentially. So you got to stay top of mind. You need to make sure that you give yourself a little bragging rights of all the really great things that you do. And the profile section is, I'm honestly the one place people totally underutilize, because a lot of times it's set it and forget it. All right. And I'm that person a little bit too. I have to remember, like every once in a while when I get a request, I got to go in here and update it. And I'm already seeing like areas I need to go in and pay some attention to, because people will look at your profile. All right. What other area should I go into, Ivan? Should I do network?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's two things that I would probably, before we come here, if you go back to just click on the LinkedIn icon. Yep. And then right there on the top left where it says who viewed your profile.
Oh, yeah.
So those two places is generally me from a sales perspective. So now I'm putting on my sales hat on. I'm looking to try to generate some B2B business. So I come in the morning, I click on who viewed my profile, and then it takes me to that page. And then I can start to see who's viewed my profile. So you can tell that Peggy right here, I don't think she has a paid account. I have a paid account. So I can see everybody that's seen my profile in the last 90 days. And what I do there is I start to go through those people. Okay, is it someone that I know already? And a lot of the times it's people that I have not connected to that are looking at my profile. I dig in and see who that person is. And then I kind of go to their profile page so they get notified that I'm looking at their profile page. We both are probably doing our due diligence. And then one of us, if it makes sense to reach out because we want to try to start a conversation, we do it. The other section, if we go back to that, the homepage again, Peggy, and you look at when I post, you can see who's viewed your post. I click on that, and then I start to go through the posts that I've posted, and I see who's liking it. And if you look at that right there, like scroll up to the first one, Peggy.
Yep.
And you see it like little right there where it says views 708.
Yeah.
If you click on that right there, it doesn't show me who the people are, but it shows me the companies, it shows me the titles, it shows me the areas that they're in. So I can start to say, okay, well, there's 4 people at Rocket Clicks that looked at this post that Peggy put up there. I can go to Rocket Clicks. I can click on their company profile page. I can look at the people tab, and I can think, okay, well, who on this company might have been the person that saw that looked at my post, right? If it's a big company, you do a little bit more digging. If it's a smaller company, you could probably get to the, figure it out. But let's say it's a mid-sized company. I can reach out to someone and say, hey, Peggy, I noticed someone at your company, I looked at my profile, was wondering if you can introduce me to the person that I would typically sell to. And a lot of the times it's very easy to kind of start that conversation knowing that there's some interaction between me, my post, that company, that individual, and whatnot. Also, if you click X out of that,
Yep.
and you look at that particular post, or if you go down to another post that's got some likes, and when you look at the likes, you can actually, you can see who those people are. I start to see who they are. If it's someone that I'm connected to, if it's like this second degree connection right here that she's not connected to, unbound B2B. So we kind of look in that. Okay, we do some investigating, see who that person is. Another way to kind of reach out to people. Hey, I really appreciate you liking my post. I was wondering if there's anything about it that you might want to talk about. Conversation started. Really, there's all these little nuggets of like actions that people are taking that can help you reach out and start a conversation without feeling like, what do I need to say? Like, what do I say to these people, right? You can start by just saying, hey, thanks for liking my post. I really appreciate it. Would love to connect. See if there's an opportunity for us to kind of do business sometime in the future or leverage each other's network. Something very simple. Most people are open to that, and you can kind of start doing that to really kind of leverage that the information that LinkedIn is pretty much giving you. And as I mentioned, Sales Navigator, it's a paid service it's the same platform, but kind of like not connected to the free version, where it gives you even deeper ways to build lead lists, build prospect lists for companies, accounts. It lets you get more information on the actual companies themselves. Are they hiring? Is their hiring going up over time or going down? You can do a lot of that extra digging in terms of when you're trying to prepare to reach out to somebody or prospect, whether it's a company that's hiring for careers or trying to do business as well. So there's definitely levels of service that you can leverage with LinkedIn to kind of get the most out of it. I will tell you, as I mentioned, I've been in sales for a long time, and I've used databases from, you name them, from Dun & Bradstreet, Zoom Info to you name it. I've used a lot of databases. LinkedIn is probably, I would say, one of, if not the cleanest database when it comes to reaching out to B2B or any kind of career, because it's, for the most part, most people keep their LinkedIn profile updated to a certain degree, and it gives you a good snapshot of where someone is at their career today. So I think from a database perspective, definitely it's one of those platforms that I think that if you take the time to really dig into it, complete your profile as much as possible. And LinkedIn will tell you what % of your profile is completed based on all the categories and everything that they have. Will definitely help you not only get a new job, but definitely allow you to, look for B2B sales. We got a question. Can we get the chart of best times to post, etc. on LinkedIn? Yeah, we're going to send out the presentation, Dennis, after to Michael, so you guys will have it, and you'll have all the slides and everything to review as well. So we'll be able to send that out.
And we are also recording this also, so I'm going to put it on the Chamber's YouTube page so you can view it there, and we'll email out the presentation once I receive that from Ivan as well. So you can view it or look at the slides after.
Yeah, so we're going to move to Q&A real quick, these last 5-6 minutes. So if anyone, feel free, don't be shy, ask me anything about LinkedIn, that is, and I'm happy to answer. Just just chime in and let's see if there's any specific questions. We covered a lot. I mean, there's definitely a lot more about the platform, but yeah, any other questions? And besides, if we're going to get the deck to everybody,
and feel free to either put it in the chat or just say it out loud, and we'll go from there. If anyone has any questions.
I do have a quick question, and hoping you can speak a little too. Thank you so much for the presentation. I actually feel I got some good tips. I feel like I'm pretty good, but could use some improvement. So I appreciate all the content, but can you speak to a little, I tend to be a little trusting, but sometimes I feel like I do get requests And then, messages that come. So just a little bit about, the friend acceptance, and just a good way to kind of filter through those requests.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, great question, Sarah. I think that's the one thing that that over time has gotten a little bit more challenging because there's so much coming at us, right? I'll give you a real life example. Happened to me this morning before we jumped on this presentation. I had a guy reach out to me with an invitation connection request. I saw who he is. There was a little message, and his message to me was, I'm reaching out to you by way of this other person, right? And so, and I'd like to connect and see if there's something I can do for his business, right? It was, to me, I was like, okay, well, first off, I don't know who the person he's referring to. So I click on him. This is what I do all the time if I'm in question. I clicked on him. I looked at his profile. I went to his company page. I didn't see the person he's referencing listed at all at his company. So now I'm thinking, okay, I don't know if this is legit or not. I see that his company is based in India. So they're probably looking to kind of sell me some sort of, lead gen or something. I went back and I just said, hey, look, I don't know who Deepak is. And we're actually only do business with companies that are US based. I don't think there's a good connection. That's my response. I appreciate you reaching out. I ignore it and I move on. Now, I will say I do that pretty quick now because I'm pretty proficient. I'm really fast in what I'm doing and I make those decisions fast. But I think, so if I was to ask you, like, what kind of business do you run or what kind of industry are you in, Sarah?
I'm in memory care assisted living, so a lot of healthcare organizations, but as you know, we work with a lot of supporting partners too. So we have folks, reaching out at all angles.
So what I would probably suggest, Sarah, that would probably be a good best practice for everybody, and this is very simple to do. I'm a Mac user. I have my notes app open all the time. I have canned response and snippets that I just keep there, and I have different variations. Like in this example, I will cut and paste someone that reaches out to me, and this happens with financial advisors, right? And I know it's tough business, tough industry. They reach out. I just copy and paste. Hey, Sarah, thanks for reaching out. I'm all set on the financial advisor front. I appreciate you reaching out. But if, I'm very direct. And if you want to connect, I'm basically telling them I'll connect, but don't try to sell me financial advising because I've been telling you that I'm good with that. In your instance, I would just be very direct, say, hey, Ivan, I appreciate you reaching out. Can you let me know what this is referring to? Like, what's your, what do you have in mind? And they'll tell you. And I think if you just copy and paste that, you can send that out. And I have no problem. I'll accept someone's connection request because they slip through the cracks. And if they try to pitch me immediately, I just disconnect immediately and I just move on. I don't really think too much about that. I just we got to be very judicious with our time and our network. And because once you accept something from someone, they start to be able to see all your connections, their second degree connections, and they can start to reach out to people that as well. So
sure. I think I also worry about like fake profiles, just like you would be worried about that on Facebook. Yeah. So it's just, I've been noticing that more and more. I didn't notice it so much when I first started being a LinkedIn user, but I'm noticing it more and more. So just appreciate the feedback on that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the question. Anyone else?
Looks like Dennis has his hand raised.
Oh, cool. Dennis, what you got?
Yeah, good presentation, Ivan and Peggy. I work at Notre Dame Cristo Rey High School, and I'm on LinkedIn all the time because I recruit companies to hire our students. So I'm a premium member. What's the best protocol? Because I find a company, I drill down, I want to go to try to start at the C level and work down. And if I see it, the gold icon up in the corner, I go right into Sales Navigator and send them a message through Sales Navigator. Sometimes I get messages that say, if you to be more effective, message them from their profile and don't go, and then if they respond, then use Sales Navigator. So what's the protocol? What do you suggest?
So I think that if in that scenario, what I would definitely start with the LinkedIn profile, right? And Navigator is kind of a touchy thing because not everybody checks their email. And again, when you message through Navigator, you're actually messaging that email through the Navigator platform. So if you're reaching out to me, I'd have to see that message in Navigator, the initial message. Once I connect with you, and I can see that navigator message in my regular LinkedIn, but I have to be connected first, right? So what I would suggest doing is reaching out to that individual when you invite to connect. I don't know, and also when you invite to connect with someone, you can add a message to it, right? You don't just
Oh,
send
yeah.
a blind one. And I would
Right.
just send a very, and if you're looking for corporate sponsors, I think those you're probably reaching to a pretty high level person, not a low level person. And those people, when I think of them, they're very pressed for time. So direct and to the point to those people is much appreciated by them. And it would just be a message. And I'm just going to spitball here. Hey Dennis, I'm reaching out. I work with corporate sponsors at Notre Dame High School that you mentioned. I'm wondering if you'd like to connect. I'd like to see if you might be interested in just looking into our program. It's okay if you're not. I just want to reach out. Something like that, because then they know that when you're reaching out, you're asking them for that, right? You're setting the table, and for every 10 that accepts, you at least know that 2 or 3 of them are going to be open to having a conversation because you were very direct, right? So that's how I would do it. And once you connect with them, you can kind of gravitate between Navigator and regular premium or regular account.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have
Yeah,
a
no
quick
problem.
question. I have a quick question about the group. We're starting to plan some of the next generation leaders programs. If I just want to ask if you'd be comfortable going in person, staying virtual, or both. If you can just put that in the chat, that'd be great, so I can judge that for future events. But I have one question for Peggy also. And Peggy, you said not to set and forget your profile, but I set my profile in 2011. I forgot it till today. So would you update it all at once? Would you update a few sections at a time? What works best, do you think?
If you have time to update it all, it should only
It
take,
doesn't hurt.
it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
So yeah, don't feel like you can't. If there's updating to be done,
Yes.
just do it all if you have time. And then
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
done. Yeah. You don't have to segment it out.
And real quick, to Christine's question on that topic, Peggy, she asked if a professional LinkedIn writer, if either hire one or whether it's a good idea or not. I think it just depends on your resources. If you have financial resources to pay someone to do that, you're obviously going to get a really well done one. But I would probably say it's very easy to go find 2 or 3, 4 profiles that are really nice. And I'll actually share a couple in an email with you, Michael, that I just came across recently that are just, that I just was like, I showed my daughter one of them and I said, like this right here, this is a girl boss. This is a badass LinkedIn profile. It has everything that needs to be done. I think those examples will probably save you some money, but if you have the resources, definitely it doesn't hurt.
Thank you.
And is
And
there a way
Ivan
to sync
had
more than
a
one
question
email?
come in from Lauren. It says, is there a way to sync more than one email address, example, personal and work?
Yeah, so there is, when you sign into LinkedIn, you actually have a primary default email that would be the one that's utilized, but you can have secondary emails. But the secondary emails are just kind of ways for you to kind of, if you forget your login or something, for them to send you a verification code to get back into the platform. But you can move from a personal to a work email. You can just decide which is going to be your default email that's going to be utilized. I sprinkle, with Peggy and I, we run, multiple sites and different things, different email addresses that I use. So I kind of have them sprinkled depending on what the topic is that we're going to be talking about, so people can reach out to me and I can kind of track my day. But yeah, you can definitely sync more than one, but only one of them will be the primary that LinkedIn is using. Any other questions?
Cool.
Anyone else?
Oh, cool.
Oh, looks like Dennis has another question.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Oh, he was
He's
waving.
all
He was
set.
waving.
Well, I just want to
Well,
say thank you to everyone for joining us today. And I want to thank Ivan and Peggy for a fantastic presentation. I learned a lot myself today. So I appreciate you both taking the time out of your schedule to tell us what Merrimack Digital does. Anything that you'd like to add before we sign off?
Yeah, I will say this. I say this to a lot of the people that I have really good conversations, and very few people I think have taken me up or whatever, but some do. But I'll say it to you all. Everybody on here, because you guys took the time to at least put the effort to get educated on something new or get refreshed on this, reach out to me and Peggy, connect with us. I will accept your guys' connection requests, and my network is your network now. So if you see someone in my network that you want to meet, talk to, whether it's job, whether you want to try to sell them something, if it's selling them something, I may ask you another question or two before I make the introduction, but I'm happy to make all the introductions that I can. And the one thing I tell people when you reach out with that kind of request, I will tell you, I know Peggy really well, no problem. I can get you a meeting with her. or I don't know Peggy that well, but I'll reach out to her on your behalf anyways. That's all I'm going to ever say. And I'm happy to put people in touch. So just feel free to send me a connection request. Happy to accept them. And if you have any other questions, I'm always here. I mean, I'm happy to help whichever way I can. And I know it's not easy, especially as a young professional. You're trying to get your career kind of situated. We've all been there, and I'm happy to help. And my network is your network. So that's what I got to say.
Thank you, Ivan. And one thing I'm going to add actually is something Ivan taught me last webinar is that if you like what the Merrimack Valley Chamber is doing, if you could leave us a Google review, we definitely appreciate that. And we appreciate your support and we appreciate your membership. If we can be of any assistance at all, don't hesitate to reach out, email, call. We're available all 24/7. So we look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you to Peggy. Thank you to Ivan. Thank you all of you for being part of the webinar today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.